Well, hello, Ricky. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. This next episode is it was inspirational to me to see a couple like that who supports each other so much. It's kind of like what we do. I mean, Susan and you have that kind of team relationship, and Cindy and I do, and it's awesome.
hmm Yeah, it's really cool to kind of see a little bit of that. I haven't. This is another one of those conversations that I really wish I could have been a part of, but it's just how it goes. I actually met Dennis a while back, way back, probably 10 years ago or something like that. We were in a writers camp, and so we did a little deer hunting. We shared a what was it, like a converted grain silo that this young kid turned it into a little cabin, and yeah, so we did a little deer hunt, and it was a blast. It was awesome. He's a really great dude, and we had a good time. And I've spoken with him a few times here and there, just about like vapor trail and Sitka stuff in the past. But yeah, what really cool to kind of see what's been going on with him since then, and just kind of like you said in the podcast, really just being the best him, and I think it's really
Yeah.
cool that he's got the support of his wife, who, you know, the spontaneity of certain things was kind of cool, where it was just like, hey, let's do it, let's shake it up a little bit, let's try something different, so I think that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and it's very cool because, like said, I met him at the hunting expo for the first time, and then we had supper and chatted and talked here and there, and then that last year at Big Sky Tack, they're just getting ready to move to do the the shin gear thing, and
hmm
it was very cool because Kim walked up and said, "You need to talk him into go shooting." And
Yeah,
it
right.
was interesting too because so they did, he did, but his inserts were pulling out. So I have the John Barclow uh, me- m- pack the medical package, that he has. And I pulled
Yeah,
out the super glue and super glued his inserts in, and we kept on shooting, giving each other heck, but it was good. It was fun.
cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And it's fun they're inspirational for me because I see a team that supports each other, and Kim is just amazing, and Dennis, and it's fun to see those couples work together. So you kind of you can aspire to be like them in some aspects where
hmm
I mean everybody has their things, but it's just cool because I feel that Cindy and I are in some of those situations too, like,
yeah.
inspire each other.
hmm yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you gotta, well, certainly gotta support each other and be there for one another, uh, as much as you possibly can. So
That's right. So, anyway, folks, I hope you enjoy the next episode of the Don't Die Rusty podcast with Dennis and Kim Zuck. Welcome to the Don't Die Rusty podcast. I'm Rick Hansen, and we will be talking about living, not dying. We're all in this adventure together, and we will be interviewing people who inspire us to live our best lives. People with various backgrounds who will walk us down the trails they took to not die rusty. Adventure in life are many things to many people. It could be a sprint or an endurance race, but with each adventure, we become a better version of us. We hope you keep chasing those dreams, being the best you, and of course, don't die rusty. Hello, Don't Die Rusty Nation. Today we have some guests that I've been working on getting on for a long time, and I was trying to get Dennis Zuck on here for a while, and then I got talking to him because I wanted to have his wife Kim on too. So we are lucky enough today to have Kim and Dennis Zuck on, and Dennis has worked with Yeti, he's worked with Sitka, and now he's the CEO of Shin. You can correct me if I say it wrong, but Shin outdoor clothing, correct?
Yeah, shin gear. You said it
Shin
right.
gear.
Yeah.
Yes. And Kim is an RN, and in this world, you have a team, and this is one of the teams I watch. It is amazing. I'm friends with them on social media, and I'm lucky enough to have met you guys first at the hunting expo, and then last year again at TAC, and it was such a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about where you've been, Dennis. If you would give us a little, give our viewers or listeners a little background on you, if you would.
Yeah, totally. And I'll try to make it quick, because I really like to get some other stuff. But gosh, I've been in the outdoor industry for quite a while. I really started at Gore doing medical products, electrical engineering kind of stuff, and found my way into the outdoor industry through Gore. And in that, we ended up acquiring a small little brand, Sitka, kind of on accident, and moved to Bozeman to try to help set that up. So spent a lot of time kind of learning the ropes with Sitka and learning garments and apparel and making a lot of mistakes. So moving forward, I met this gentleman, Bill Neff, who is just a great guy. He's still at Yeti today. And he introduced me some folks there, and I went over and tried to learn how to be a good marketer. I could be a good product guy, but I wanted to be a good marketer. And I learned a little bit and got a call back from Jonathan Hart, said, would you come back to Sitka? So I'm a boomerang. I left the place, but it was always near and dear to me. I appreciated the people there and what we accomplished. So I went back, had a great time, but I like creating new things. I like creating new values, and I met the owners of Shen, and it felt a lot like those early Sitka days to me. So I signed up for it with my loving wife to move from Bozeman, Montana to Memphis, Tennessee, which most people will say we are absolutely crazy for doing. But, you meet the people here, you see the energy, you go to our film fest, anything, and you really, it was worth it to us. So.
Well, that's amazing, because you get to keep on chasing your dreams, and you have a supporter beside you right there. And Kim, you're an RN, correct? You've talked to Dennis has talked to other people about Shin, so I want to talk about. Here's the first thing I noticed. We were at the Western Hunt Expo. It was fun to watch you guys together. We went out for supper, and then we all kind of talked there when I got to know you. But the interesting thing is you guys were moving to Memphis when I was up at Bozeman Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And Kim and I had this discussion that Dennis really wanted to go shoot, and I needed to talk him into go shooting. And when you walked up to me to ask me that, to talk him in to go shoot with us in the morning, that said something to me, because you guys are moving. There's probably a lot of stress and pressure getting ready to move to not just down the street, but states away. And it just struck me like, this is a cool wife that's trying to help your husband have a good time. And I appreciate that. So it's fun. How do you guys, I'm trying to think of the word, but how long have you been a team actually?
30. Well, we've been married 30 years. We've been together 32 years. I met him in high school.
Yeah.
We went to prom together. We went to homecoming together. We graduated together. We grew up together, really.
Yeah, we've known each other longer than we've known anything else in our whole lives.
I have always that would probably be in one of my dreams, but that didn't work out for me. So it's fun to watch a couple that has been together for so long and cheer each other on. Like, I love watching you guys together. You know what I mean?
It's not been easy. I mean, everybody thinks, oh, it's going to be easy and stuff. But there's been times that he's helped me through things. There's been times I've helped him do things.
Yeah.
It's
a partnership. It's a commitment.
He was in the military for a long time. I raised kids practically by myself for a long time. but it was worth it.
Here's one of the things I'm lucky about nowadays is I'm married to a wonderful woman myself, and I like the independence that she has too, and I see that in you, Kim. You know that, like, here's what I see is a take no shit kind of person. That's what I see, you know.
It's
And-
right.
but still, like I said, it's good to see when Dennis got the opportunity to go to Memphis. I assume that was a discussion between both of you, and you have to change your occupation, but change your thought process. You know, how does that go?
I think it all started. So we lived in the same town for 36 years. We lived on the family farm. That's where our kids were. And we didn't think we would ever move from that town. And when he came to me and he's like, they want me to move to Montana, I don't know why. I said, let's do it. And he's like, you said yes?
I thought it'd be a harder sell.
Yeah. He said to me other times, let's move. And I was like, we can't do this. I had a business. My parents are there. His parents are there. Our kids were in school. And I said, let's do it. I think that was the hardest move that we ever did. But I think it was something that I thought it would be fun. I didn't know it was going to be that hard. But I think it was a very smart decision looking back. So now, since all the moves that we've done, you have one life. Let's go have fun. And when you get complacent in some of them, and some of the times that I've seen when he's kind of not having the best time, and there's a spark in his eye when it's time for him to move on and he's not doing what he should be doing in life, it's time to let's go have fun and do something else. So I think that's where he was in the move in Memphis. I think that's what he was ready to do.
Yeah, Rick, it's funny too because you talk about being at Western Hunter. That's actually where that is the weekend, literally the weekend that Kim looked at me and said, "You're not doing what you should be doing," because I was spending time with MKC and all the brands I really enjoyed, all the brands is trying to make a difference, and she's like, "You love that."
Well, you know, like Don't Die Rusty is to be the best you and chase your dreams and live your best life, and that's what I see you guys doing. Then a lot of people don't. I mean, like for Kim to see that in you, I'm not saying there's a dull in your eyes, but there's not that sparkle that used to happen. And she would, of course, growing up with you, she would know that, being together as long, and to not get stuck in the comfortable, you may not be happy, but have a living, but to be able to take chances and have that person cheering you on to take those chances, and that has to be amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, and like she knows me better than I know me. Like, you know, I kind of think I have that feeling. She's like, no, you do. You do have that feeling, and you need to do something with that, right?
Yeah, because I've been talking about that I was in this funk a while ago, but I've started going to this functional doctor, and I've talked about this in other episodes, and Kim will understand. I mean, you would too, but like I was taking somewhere between 10 and 15 ibuprofens maybe 4 or 5 times a week, 4 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week, and I have 2 torn meniscus, I have arthritis in my knees, and after a month of doing this now, I have not taken one ibuprofen, and I just about climbed Mount Peel last week, but it got too icy and I didn't have crampons, and I'm not going to die because it says don't die on the first part of Don't Die Rusty, and I really didn't want to die. I'm rolled down the hill. But the interesting part about that is what I'm saying is I didn't realize how I was being snarky and cranky when I wasn't feeling good. And I'm putting that into like Kim seeing in you that you need to go challenge yourself, and this is what you like doing is getting companies and getting gear out there and building something bigger than and that's amazing for Kim to see that in you and say let's do it. And like I said, I've seen it before at TAC, like talked Dennis to go shoot, and we did. I'm not going to talk about shooting because we had to pull John Barclow's little pack out and put your insert back in your arrow there, but that's super good in there.
We all know.
but that's the cool things, and I mean, you guys went to Maryland to school, didn't you? So you're Terrapins. See, I'm a big Florida State fan, but I was thinking about this.
I did not go to the same college. I went to Towson.
Yeah.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this on the way home to come and do this episode. Was the only Florida State game I have ever went to. It was against Maryland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's down in Tallahassee. So that was pretty cool. So it was interesting. But so what do you guys foresee in your future? I mean, keep challenging yourself and keep on living the best life.
So we still have our house in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
So when we moved to Bozeman the first time, this was also another very hard thing that we had to do. We had 2 kids.
Yeah.
One son was 8th grade-ish, and he was definitely going with us. Our daughter, so nobody knew. I did not tell anybody yet that we were moving because I knew it was going to be very hard on everybody because that was our home and everybody lived within a 5-minute radius. Our daughter came to us at 16 and said, I'm pregnant. So we were like, do we make this move or do we not make this move? And this was a choice that she had made. And we battled back, not.
Yeah, I heard.
Mentally battled back and forth. And you were like, in 5 years, her life, because she was going to get married. This was the guy she was going to marry. She was having this baby. And in 5 years, she was going to move on with her life. And where were we going to be? And if we stayed, we would have been in the same exact spot and she would have moved on with her life. Yep. So still chose to go ahead and go. We supported them. Not financially. But all of that. We offered for them to come and stay with us.
Mm-hmm.
Door was always open.
Yeah, the door was always open. She graduated from high school. She's married to this guy. They've been married for 12-ish years now. They have 4 beautiful kids. They stayed in Maryland. They were high school sweethearts at the same high school that we went to. And they moved to Montana 2 years ago. And when he got offered this job, I'm like, I can't move for my grandkids and my daughter when they moved out here. They didn't necessarily move for us because we told them we move. His job may move us. They did it for the kids and their education because they were still back in Maryland. So as of right now, and our son's still there. So as of right now, we're having fun. We are going and I'm going to spend the summer back there. We're doing the winters here. I'm not doing a whole lot of nursing right now. I'm going to events with Dennis and helping with events. And it's pretty fun. I'm helping him set up new stores. And I've never been able to do any of that stuff because I've been raising kids. I've been working. And I actually have the opportunity right now to help him do that stuff.
Well, because I saw you tearing up your shirts at the concert and having a good time, but that's what I'm saying though. That's you helping him out at the event, and that was very cool. That's where I really got saying, when I was going to talk to Dennis here, and I was watching your post there, and I thought, I hope I can get Kim on because that just says something to me. Mm-hmm. And with you guys moving, like my stepson and his wife moved to Anchorage. He's a paramedic firefighter up there. And I thought it's interesting because all the in-laws are either in Wyoming or right here in Spearfish. And Cindy, is here in Spearfish, but her parents are in Gillette. But I said, I think that is a good move because you have to grow up and grow together And being away from all sides helps you grow. It helps you grow as a person because you can't just go down the street and ask a question, or you can ask a question on the phone, but you just don't have that. You're not close, so you have to grow. And I said, this is good. And it's getting more and more exciting because Cindy's going to have her first grandchild, and all the excitement of that is fun watching because I love to see her with a glow in her eyes. I don't have kids of myself, so I just love watching this part of her and the excitement, and I love watching her son wanting to become a dad, but I also like the fact that they're learning to become a couple away from everybody else. I think that's where we grow. I've lived away from
that. We were just talking about that last night. We always look for a house that our kids can come to. And I'm like, we have to stop doing that because we raised our kids to start their own tradition and be their own person. I do want our kids to come to our house, but they're going to have their own families and their own mates and their own work schedules, and it can't always work out. In a perfect world, you want it to, but it's not going to always happen. And this year for Christmas, and it's not going to be for Christmas, it's going to be January. We're all going to go together, and we're going on a vacation. And we're taking our son, our son-in-law, daughter, and 4 grandkids that we have now. But we are raised, God has taught us to raise our kids and send them out. And that's what they're supposed to do. Doesn't mean they can't pick up the phone when they have a problem, but they're there to make their own traditions. And it's not for us to be selfish for them to make the traditions that we taught them. They're to make their own. And we can still be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but it is true. It's that whole idea of independence, right? Like, and Break, you hit on that. But, I've always say home is where we are, right? So we've really gotten comfortable just being anywhere. Like like this last one wasn't that hard of a move for us because I think we're just comfortable in our own skins and we know how to survive, right? But our daughter moving out and making that change on one side, you feel terrible. You're like, gosh, we were so close to having that conventional family that that drive down the road and go see everybody. But I'll tell you, the schools in Montana are way better for those kids. The life experiences are way better for those kids. The independence that they're learning is way better for them. And there's nothing wrong with living in the same hometown and spending your whole life there. There's people that's the right thing for them. But there's a lot of people that when we first said we were going to Montana, they thought we were luckiest people. Actually, they didn't look at us and say we were crazy. They didn't look at us and say we were making a mistake. They looked at us and said, I wish I could, or I would, or that could happen to me, right? And at the end of the day, it's better for everyone. But we left it sounds like we had a 16-year-old daughter pregnant and we abandoned her. That's not what happened, right?
Yeah.
But on the other side, you got to keep living. Right? Like life's got to keep going forward. And when you start guessing what other people want and need and try to cater to that or pander to that, you're not letting them be their best person either. Right? And so it's just it's a philosophy and it's a hard one, but it works for us.
Our last 2 houses that Dennis has bought, I never saw. He bought the one in Montana and he bought the one in Memphis. And I was
It's just a house.
And I said, it's just a house. Doesn't matter. It's a good area. This is the area I like.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a house.
Yeah.
If I don't like it, we'll move another time.
Well, I like that philosophy because I grew up in a little town. I grew up on a ranch, and then the town closest to us had maybe at the most 70 people. Okay. And then I graduated from another town that I think we had 35, 36 in our class, maybe a few more. But here, it's interesting, like you said, because I came to Black Hill State here in Spearfish, South Dakota, played football, didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I'd chase girls, party, and I didn't know you had to study. That was one of my problems, and and then I didn't know what I really wanted to do in life. And now I wish I'd known then, but everybody wishes they'd known then. But then I went back to the ranch and I saved up and I went to Australia and by myself and worked over there. And people said, from around there, said, how did you do that? Well, I saved up money and I went, because you can't be afraid to go. And I think that's some of the best things in life that helped me, because for me to find myself, like I said, I lived in Western Australia at that. So it's not a hop home or a skip home. And you have to grow up and answer your own questions. And that's what I think helped me. And that's what I think. And now I have a wife that she says, you have taken me places where I never would have went, and she surprised me last week. She went to Alaska, to see her son, and her plane got back into Billings at roughly midnight. And she just went and slept in her car till morning. And she said, I'm not going to pay for a hotel because there's no need to go, by the time you get to the hotel. And that's something I would do. But I thought, here's my question. Will she be driving in when I'm waking up, or will she really do it? And she did it. And she's very independent, and that made me happy. But that's what I'm saying is, you guys are living your life, and sometimes independence is that way. We can go. You guys can go see your kids, they can come and see you. But you're living your life too. And I see too many people that don't live their life, and I personally don't want to get to the end of my life and say, I should have.
Exactly. And we don't know how short our life is. It might be 5 years from now. It might be 100 years from now. I don't want to be that 55-year-old who is sitting in a wheelchair because we didn't do what we should have done, and we're too sore to be able to still go to Montana and climb that mountain.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I look at it too, and I never in a million years would have thought I would be doing what I'm doing. And it's a little bit of a dream come true. Kim certainly made that happen. But it's also a little bit of just taking opportunities as they come and just letting the world take you where it's going to take you, right? And to do that, you have to be open to it too. You have to say, oh, there's an opportunity. What can I make of that opportunity? I'm sure a million people, you'll never know if you let it go by you. And a lot of people probably do, because this is safe, or that job's, I understand it, I know it, or, there's a support system I have, or whatever it may be, right? But you'll spend that much time trying to figure out your major and just plan your life, right down to this big ambition you have. When the truth is 70% of your life you have no control over.
A lot of people come to you and they're like, how do I get where you are? And they want to always be to the top. And that's not where it is. They don't want the sacrifices that it takes to get to this spot. You started in the military at the lowest rank that you could get and worked his way up. It's taken years to get to, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of nights, a lot of weekends, I didn't see him for months.
Yeah.
It wasn't what it is now. Like, people see, right now I'm not working.
Yeah.
I worked, there was holidays, weekends that I didn't get to go to my kids' basketball games and baseball and lacrosse games. There was a lot of that stuff that I didn't get to do.
Yeah.
And that's the things that I think, maybe I'm wrong, and I try not to be cynical, but I see a lot of kids these days that are starting to understand that. But because a lot of people think that they want to be up here before they even started right here, and they want this money or be, and dude, I started out at 50 cents an hour, dude, kind of thing, when I was 10 years old raking hay. And I thought that was cool. And it got me enough to get a Red Ryder BB gun. And I was happy about that stuff. And they don't understand the hours that you put into, or whatever. Like you saying, Dennis is gone, military wise, and you're staying home and doing your stuff. And what's amazing to me though, and this is why I like for you guys to do that though, there's trust. There's there's hard times. I'm saying, but the trust is the big thing. And when you have peace of mind, that helps out a ton. The hard work isn't so bad when you have peace of mind, I think. Because, like, Cindy,
like there was a lot of business trips. There was a lot of, there was things that.
A lot of time away.
Yeah, a lot of time away. We were just talking about the other day. If you go, there's guys and girls. Don't put yourself in a situation that could happen. You don't go in a vehicle with another woman by yourself. You don't go to dinner with another woman by yourself. It's just a thing.
Well, but you said it too, Rick. It's trust, right? And you got to deposit in that bank account, right? And if you want to be trusted, you have to be respectful too, and you have to be conscious of people's feelings and how it does or doesn't make them feel. And like you earn trust by not violating it, but you also earn it by being at least considerate of it, right? Like,
and it's not that he did any of it; it's because that was all in my family, and that's all I knew. So.
I needed that one a lot.
I needed to see that's not how life was. We got married and we lived apart for a year because I couldn't see him because I couldn't get on base without being married. Like it was different back then. I couldn't get on base because of that. And my dad wouldn't let me visit him because we couldn't afford to get a hotel room. And I couldn't stay with him. My dad, if I was still living in my dad's house, I couldn't stay with him in a place, in a hotel, if we weren't married. So we got married when I was still in nursing school.
Yeah.
And then we lived apart for a whole year.
My holiday leave, right? You found the time you could, and you knew that's what you wanted to happen. And back then in the military, you were living at the poverty level, maybe worse, right? So, you they're hard times, right? This is not to figure out, right? And and it's I don't know, but going back to your trust thing and the time and the commitment, it's real and it's not easy, but it's so worth it. And that's like I don't know, I think of wisdom, right? So what is wisdom? Wisdom's only as good as your worst and your best day, right? And if you don't let yourself live, how do you ever become wise, right? And you don't put yourself out there, you take chances, all those things. That's what wisdom is. Wisdom is just a lot of data compiled up, which is data you've gathered over just being at it.
Yeah, it is, because I've made a lot of mistakes and I did a lot of good things, but I've learned that's where my wisdom would come from. And it's, what's interesting is, and I try to give wisdom to some of the young people I know, but you know what? There's no cliff notes that you can give anybody to learn. That you got to learn wisdom. I can say things and tell them what I've done and we've been through, but until you got to go through the hardships to get the good stuff, and then you really relish it.
Right, and it's what also makes a relationship 30 some years later. Yeah, it's been up and down and everything, but the best endearing things take work. The things that last long took a long time. Things that come to you quick, they go quick too. And it's just how do you want to live?
Yeah, because there's nothing's more rewarding than having to really work for it. I mean, if something came easy, then it's easy to throw away, really. And something easy doesn't matter if it's material goods, or I've seen it in relationships too. If something's easy to come by, then, not saying that people don't fall in love, but I'm just saying it's just, if it's easy and you don't have to go through things, then it is easy to throw away. I loved hearing about your lives, because I have a good Catholic mom. I'm a bad Catholic, I'll just say that right now. But you learned a lot of stuff, and I was one of those guys that I called my mom every morning as I went to work, because in the last 2-3 years of her life, because we never knew. And like I said, and I think people should relish the fact that there is no rewind in life, and you have to keep moving forward. And we would talk 5 or 5 minutes to 10 minutes to a half hour to nothing, but but it didn't matter. But there, that was part of the family thing, because she always cheered me on to go live these adventures that I would go on, because she wasn't in the health to go do this stuff. But and that's kind of, in the whole scheme of things, when social media started coming out, it was just easier for me to start posting my adventures, because it was the most fun things for her to say, there's where Rick is, that's what Rick's doing, kind of thing. And then we had something to talk about, and those stories and life, and she was the one I'd ask my questions to. But she knew I will never, ever, ever live back where I grew up. I just won't. And that's just me. The Black Hills are my home. But if Montana called, Montana could call Montana could be my home too. Yeah. But I'm a skip away from Montana anyway. But you know what I mean? I just can't foresee myself going back there. But those people that are there, that are farming, and that's their life, and that's what all they've ever wanted to do, that was them. Me, I want to go see what's over the next hill. And then I get to the top of that hill, I want to go see what's over the next hill. And if it's a hard climb, then that's the way it is. But I can't sit still. I may have a home here, but I can't sit still. And so I have 4 wheels and gasoline in the vehicle. I can do a lot of stuff. And I think people are afraid to go do things. They're afraid to get outside that circle. I know people that haven't left South Dakota.
Yeah.
And I'm going, and I think the internet has made it, and TV, YouTube will say, and other things, like they feel like they can go to those places, but they never have to leave their house. And there are things, as well as I know, you can go to. There's different smells, there's different people, there's different lives, there's different cultures, even in America. And if you don't go experience this stuff, I don't think, for me personally, I don't put down other people if they don't, but I don't feel like I've lived. I want to go experience everything from Waffle House to...
My husband did much of that until when he told me we were moving to Montana. I had to kind of get a map to see. I knew it was out west, but not really where it was. So we were in Maryland. I did Florida and West Virginia, but that's about it. We didn't really travel. Like, that's, if you hear something snoring, our dog is beside us snoring.
That's fine.
So many places we really went, and now it's like there's more out there. What else is fun? What else is,
Yeah. I've always been fascinated. Like, so I've been really blessed in my life, and I've gotten to, working at Gore. I worked a lot with Asian cultures and German cultures and Italians and just people from around the world. And I always was really fascinated with that part of it. Like, I could go see that steeple or that site that everybody talked about. Yep. But I was more interested in going and hanging out with some locals, or learning what they were into, or what they ate, or how their grandfather used to do something. I think that there's those parts of life that, I don't know, not everybody's attuned to. It's not a Nat Geo check the list kind of thing.
No. And like you said, there isn't, and it's interesting that you've got to see those cultures because of Gore or another products that you've been in. I mean, clothing and stuff. I heard though. We'll get back to the kids part here, because that also interests me. That, like, we talk about the cities and stuff like that, and moving back, your daughter moving your grandkids to Montana. And I have to admit that I talked about this with one of my friends the other day, and I said, I really truly miss that kids just don't get to run as much anymore. We were up at my uncle's cabin up here in the middle of the woods, and I'm 8, 10. I'm. They probably watch me a little more, but I'm 8, 10, 12 years old, and you just took off running once you got to the cabin, and it didn't matter. You came back at dark, and nobody knew where you were, and you could have been way up in the Black Hills, and nobody knew. Or even on the ranch, you took off, and there was no internet, there was nothing, and you guys know that, and you just went and used your imagination. And I got in trouble a few times by using it too much and trying to make a boat, and I don't know how to swim and this and that, and I got, I'm a bad dog paddler at best, and my mom saw me out in the middle of the water on a door with 2 55-gallon drums and said, "What the heck are you doing?" kind of thing. But the adventures that you get to have, I don't know if many kids get to do that anymore because of the world we live in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely right. My grandson, sometimes he'll be playing. I don't even understand this, to be really honest. He'll be watching Minecraft. I guess that's a game he likes.
Mm.
Someone else playing Minecraft on YouTube.
Yeah.
And fascinated by that. I'm like, don't you just want to go outside? And because taking him hunting, he's done a lot of things, at least he understands what that other opportunity is. I fear for a kid that never has that or never is in those environments that is life. Like, that's the best thing they understand is this virtual world between Instagram and social media and, the gaming world. I grew up planting in cornfields and, going to my neighbor's house. Nobody had called or checked in on you. Just got back before dark, right? It's just not like that now. In most places, it's not like that.
No, and it wasn't. And, like, I lived 3 miles from Marie Heights, roughly 3.5, 4 miles from Marie Heights. And if I wanted to go in, like, we would round up. It didn't matter as long as you could hit a softball and play, it didn't matter ages. Phone calls would go out. I would ride my bike into town from out in the ranch there, and you'd ride into town, and it didn't matter boys or girls. We would just try to round up as many, so we'd have 2 teams and we could play. But here's the other thing. Like, if I went in to play with friends, we'll say, and this is with dial-up phones, my mom would know. She'd probably know quicker now than with a cell phone today, because everybody's watching you if you're in town. People watching you is like, if you were doing something stupid, your mom's going to get a call, and it ain't, or dad is going to get a call, and it's not good. But it was like just the way it was. Everybody kind of watched everybody else, and you still got to run free, but it was just you got to watch everybody else. And I missed, if I had kids, that would be one of the things that I would really want for them, is to be able to run free.
Absolutely.
And so our daughter lives in Manhattan. Have you been?
I went to Manhattan.
Okay, so they still live in town. They live on dirt road. The kids can still play on the dirt road in their bikes. Don't have to worry about it, and they can still walk to school.
Yeah.
Isn't that?
The older one can. The younger ones can't yet. But how many places can you do that? There's
many.
very few places that you can do that anymore.
Yeah. Don't lock your door.
Exactly.
The other day in Montana, they're like, "How do you get in your house?" I'm like, "Just walk in." And they're like, "You don't have a key?" I'm like, "No, like, you don't have to here."
That's why I grew up too. You didn't have to lock your doors. I can't imagine kids these days. It's a different thing. It's just crazy. And like I said, to be free and live life, that's cool. So you guys live close on a farm or something, or when you grew up?
Yeah, well,
where we grew up in Maryland.
Yeah,
I lived so we were about 15 minutes apart.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I grew up on 100 acres.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
Oh.
And I did not meet him until, so I went to a private school up until 10th-ish grade. And I wanted to go to Votech because I knew I wanted to be a nurse. So to get into that Votech, I had to switch and go to a public school. And I met him. I actually didn't meet him in school. I met him at Denny's because he was sitting with somebody in my homeroom. That's how I met him.
I just got off work. I started working when I was 14 years old, so I was just getting off work at Dairy Queen.
That would have been a bad place for me to work because I love ice cream.
It's really tough.
And that's why our parents still live there. His parents still live there.
Yeah.
When our daughter had her baby, she had lots of support. Her in-laws lived there. Family's still there. We still go back there quite a bit. We have a cabin there that we raised our kids. We went on the weekends there.
Mm-hmm.
Sika's headquarters, Gore, who owns Sika, headquarters was there. And we would go and stay in the cabin there 2-3 weeks at a time. And that's when we would see our daughter, see our parents, and we'd spend time there. So we still would go back there quite a bit. My best friend has a cabin right next to it. So then we could hang out.
That sounds like trouble.
Mm-hmm. It
is.
Dennis isn't saying anything there. But that's good. I go back and see my dad, but I get to go do the 8 o'clock coffee and solve the world's problems, and then between 8 and 3, probably more world problems come up. So then 3 o'clock they have to go have coffee again. So if I go back with my dad, he's 81, and he walks 2 or 3 miles a day, and then he goes and makes the coffee. But I go in there and they get a new version of solving the world's problems when I go back. But that's the fun part of going back to where you grew up too. I like I said, I wouldn't live there probably, but I like going back to relive the memories. But it's funny how things get smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not as a kid, everything's so big, and then like things get smaller. But it's so. I love the feeling of knowing where I grew up and like that. Like you guys meeting at a Denny's, and I wish, like I said, it would be interesting to have those memories of meeting someone and growing old with them, because that's the story. That's the story I love to hear. I get a little sentimental. Like that's the stuff that's very, very cool. And anyway, so you went to college and you went into the military.
Yeah, I was I grew up, I pretty much I left home at 17, and that was kind of never looked back. My parents never really had much, and it was if you wanted to do things in this world, you were going to figure that out yourself, right? And I remember I worked in a marina, just kind of dockhand kind of thing. And again, Kim pushing me. She's like, "When are you going to get a real job?" Right? And I didn't know what a real job was, so I was like, "Well, I think I'm going to go in the military because I need to get it."
One of us had to get a loan, so it was like, which one of us are going to go to college right now and get a loan? So we chose, for me to get a loan, we were going to let the military pay for his college.
Yeah.
So that's why we did it that way. So that's why I said, when are you going to get a real job?
Yeah. And there was no baby on the way.
Yeah, there was no baby.
This was us straight up, just kids. I look back at that now and I can't even imagine. I can't. I think of 19-year-olds. Heck, my son's 24, and sometimes when I'm like, oh, he's still a kid. Like, he'll figure this out later. And I'm like, 24? I was out of active, into Guard and Reserve, had kids. I look back at that now and I can't imagine my 19-year-old, daughter's son, boyfriend coming to me and saying, "Hey, can I marry your daughter? And, you know, we'll do this big wedding, and we're sitting planning our lives, like who's getting the loan, and, you know, driving, who's going to drive the car loan. Like we've been a team. We've been a team for as long as I can remember.
Well, for you to know that, like, who's going to get a loan, that is,
We
gosh,
didn't.
I would,
Like,
no,
look at it now, and it's like, how did we even think that through? Like, we wouldn't change anything. Like,
no.
we wouldn't change anything, but
It's kind of crazy at this
Yeah.
point. Looking back, it seems crazier.
Well, I just wish I would have had the foresight myself. Like I'm saying, I thought you went to college and played football, chased girls, and partied, and I thought life came at you and you got a job and things worked out. And I wasn't. I wish I would have been more focused, a little bit more focused. And I hear this stuff, and like I go back and say, you're kind of a dumbass, Rick, sometimes, but you know, but like I said, if you don't go through those hardships, where do you get your wisdom?
no. And it was, like you said, we got a lot of stuff hitting our face when we finally moved together, because we had it planned. I knew I wanted to have a baby before I started into my nursing career. So the day I found out I graduated was the day I found out I was pregnant. And us having a baby at so young, and I was 20. I was 20 when I had our first. And then he comes to us. We built a house at 21. And
Jeez.
then that was my parents gave us an acre on the farm. That's what got us started.
Mm-hmm.
And they helped us build the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes to me at 23 and he's like, we're going to have another baby now or never. And I'm like, okay. We had no money. We were house poor. I remember I tell people this all the time. I remember going to McDonald's and buying, remember when they had like 29-cent cheeseburgers and 39 cents? I would buy enough for the week because we were living on military money. I would buy enough for the week, throw them in the freezer, and buy a tomato. And I would pull 2 out a night for us, cut up the tomato, and that's what we would have for the week. If he went hunting and got deer, that was like smorgasbord for us. That's what we ate. Like, that's all we could afford. Like, that was...
Yeah. But didn't stop us from deciding to start a family. And, you know, everybody waits for that perfect time. And, like, I don't know. Everybody's got their own story.
We looked at it and all of our friends were partying. I'm like, why aren't we partying? Why are we home with babies? We wouldn't have changed it. We're glad we did it because we get to do this now. And we have a lot of friends our age that have little ones.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't imagine the little one, because we're all roughly in that same age group. I know that.
I can't imagine.
So I could not imagine it. Because I know I have a coworker that just had a baby, and it is amazing. I don't know how you could do that at this age. This is time to live life. Like I'm not. I just was in a bad. It was just bad timing on my part, and that's where I'll go. But now I have stepkids, and I was always told, because I always got into. I talked to some older people, and I said, what's your legacy? Because I don't have any kids, and they would say, I was talking to the people that didn't have kids, and they said, your legacy is what you left behind, and like I have friends' kids, and that I've do stuff with, and this and that. So that's the legacy.
Yeah.
So
how you touch people, right?
Yeah.
What that may be, whether it's through people, product, things, whatever, right?
Yeah,
and what you do with them, and that's why we decided we're not doing gifts anymore with the kids and the grandkids.
Yep.
We're taking them somewhere because we want to create memories with them.
They'll forget the gifts; they'll remember the memories. I truly believe in that. That memories are what creates the best people. But anyway, I'll start winding this down here. But when we get to the last part of this, and I appreciate you taking the time to be with me, both of you, because I got to learn a little bit more. And like I said, watching you rip up the shirts last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever that was awesome. And to see you cheer on your husband and for Dennis to cheer you on too. That's cool, Kim. And you inspire me even though we don't talk much. I see what's going on here and there, and that some inspiration doesn't need to be said. I say, Cindy, look at this. Isn't this cool? This is where I believe that most people should be in cheering their spouses on. And like I said, I cheer her on. Go see your son in Alaska and go enjoy your grandkid, because you don't get to do that, all the time. I'm not the one that needs to go hold a baby myself, but you guys inspire me to be better. And there's so many other questions that I will have to talk sometime that I have for you guys. But when we get to the end of the episode, we asked one final question. And that is, what's the good life to Kim and Dennis?
Do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
To me, I don't know. So I think conventionally the good life is, for most people, it's about money or things you have or whatever, right? I don't. I think it's I think it's being comfortable in your own skin.
Enjoying what I have right now.
I like hearing that. So,
but a mega yacht and an offshore boat, no, that'd be nice too. But your good life is being with somebody you really love and they love you, and you're content.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's per se enjoying what I have right now.
I love hearing that.
Not looking in the future, not looking at the past. Being happy right now.
Being present.
Yep.
Well, that is awesome. I believe that too, because I think I'm living my best life right now. The good life right now is my best life right now. And that is awesome to see. So, here's the deal. I try to be authentic. When you get Rick when you see me, I'm not, and you've seen me in being Rick, and I've seen you guys, and that's the coolest part, is you're both so authentic and real, that, you know what I mean? And that's the best part of knowing you guys.
Well, it means a lot. Great knowing you too, Rick.
All right. Well, good.
Meeting you.
Well, good.
Well, man, who Ashley, I think, introduced
yep.
me.
Yeah. She probably said, "This is my dumbass friend."
No.
No, we do some stupid things. Make those stupid videos together every once in a while, but that's to get people laughing, so that's good. So, but anyway. Well, anyway, I'm going to say, thank you for being on the Don't Die Rusty podcast. Don't Die Rusty Nation, keep chasing your dreams, being the best you, and of course, don't die rusty.
Thank you for listening to the Don't Die Rusty podcast with your hosts, Rick Hansen and Ricky Bruley. The Don't Die Rusty podcast is written and produced by Rick Hansen and Ricky Bruley. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook at Don't Die Rusty. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question for the Ricks? Send us an email at don'tdierusty@gmail.com. It too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Don't Die Rusty podcast wherever fine podcasts are downloaded.